Atlanta week. Excited about the opportunity to go there and play those guys. They got a good football team. They're playing exceptionally well. They could easily be 3-0 with the way that they've played. They've played some really good teams, so it's going to be a tough challenge. I'm sure it'll be a great atmosphere to go play a game in, and we're excited about the opportunity.
DA, can you update us on Eric and Caesar?
Well, yeah, I mean, Eric's going to go on, IR, and he'll be out for a little while. I don't know exactly how long that is. I know there's been a lot of speculation as to what the terms are, but I'm not going to speculate in terms of the length of time that he'll be out. But he'll miss 4 games for sure, and then we'll go on from there. Caesar's dealing with a knee issue, so we'll just take that, day by day and see what happens.
Is that knee issue the same thing that caused him? He came out for a play and then went back in with us?
No, I actually came out because of an ankle,
Do you have any update on McCoy's surgery and how that went?
I know he had surgery this morning. I have not gotten an update as to how that went.
And Alan?
Yeah, he's just dealing with, some ribs and really kind of a hip pointer.
DA, with losing Eric, such a key player for you all in front of you, how do you adjust without him?
Well, look, we're going to have some other guys step up, That happens in our league. I mean, I'm looking at, if you just pay attention to the league in general, like there was, I don't know, a dozen or more offensive linemen that went down, this week, so it's, everybody's dealing with it. And look, Atlanta's dealing with it. I know they lost their starting center, and, I don't think anybody really knows yet for sure. At least we don't know for sure whether or not McGarry's fine or not. We'll figure that out probably come game time. So everybody's got to be able to adjust and make changes, and we'll do that.
You mentioned a couple of weeks ago about taking some things off of Derek Carr's plate in terms of checks, the line of scrimmage, and things like that. How big of a role did Eric McCoy play in that, and does that complicate the replacement?
Well, look, I mean, obviously Eric was instrumental in the communication with everything that we're doing up front, and so, yeah, anytime you lose a guy like that is that smart, does such a great job of communicating, and is a good player to go along with that, it makes it tough. But we've got guys that we believe in that'll go in and step in and play well in his absence.
You had said throughout training camp that the 2 offensive line spots you were sure about were Eric and Caesar. What have you learned about the team through 3 games that makes you feel more comfortable knowing that they can find scheme around this, find the personnel around this?
Yeah, well, I'll be honest with you, it doesn't really matter how I feel one way or the other. Like, this is what we're doing. We got to go out and do it. And so, but I feel confident in our guys being able to go out and execute and do their job. And we got to look, the players that are filling in have to step up and play well. The players around them have to step up and play well. Like, this is about a team. This is about 11 guys on offense, 11 guys on defense, 11 guys in the kicking game, going out and executing their job. And we'll have 11 guys out there, and we have confidence and fully expect those guys to go out there and play well.
And was Landon Young available just like as the kind of emergency last week after he practice?
Well, he was available. I think we kind of made the decision to have it more as an emergency role, but he was available.
And what have you seen from him since he's gotten to get a little bit more reps on the inside? Obviously, he played majority on the outside.
Yeah. Well, we've worked him a ton and at all the different spots. We've worked him, outside right tackle, left tackle. We've worked him, inside at guard, right guard, left guard. We've worked him in a lot of different spots. So we feel comfortable with wherever we, need him to step in, that he can go in and play well.
Juwan
except
still-
for center. I haven't worked him there.
Is Juwan still ramping up after missing so much of training camp?
No, I think he's back to, being ready to go and I think he's a guy that we'd like to get, more involved. And yet, the offense is designed and you have plays that you are hoping to feature somebody, and yet I have no idea what coverage they're going to play. And coverage can dictate and does dictate where the ball ends up going most of the time. And so, but he is a guy that we'd like to get, more involved.
How was Atlanta different because of Portland?
Well, I think they get the ball out more on rhythm and timing. Obviously this is a totally different scheme than, what I say that there's a lot of the run game is similar. But I think, he does some good stuff at the line of scrimmage in terms of getting them in the right plays based on what the defense is giving you. I think they do a really good job. They have some tempo plays where they're up on the ball and they're running a play, and then they give you the illusion that they're in tempo plays, and yet they're just trying to gather information and see what you're doing. So I think this is, I think from a talent standpoint, I think it's a much improved offensive football team. They've added, a skilled receiver and a speedy receiver, and Mooney, who is a good player. Ray McLeod's a good player. Obviously they've had London, Pitts. The runners are extremely talented, different. They run the same plays, but different skill sets, but both talented in their own right. So, and I think Kirk, operates it like he's operated very similar schemes in the past. I think this scheme fits, what he, likes to do. And, I think each week you're seeing him, get him on the move a little bit more, under center, play action, stretch running game, all the things that he's really done, over the last few years that he's had so much success with.
Does their offense remind you of your guys', just similar tree brand?
Yeah, look, I think there's some similarities with what we do, with what the Rams do. Obviously, their coordinator came from the Rams, so there's a lot of similarities as to, what they're doing offensively as to what the Rams were doing. So, they have a lot of volume in terms of just shifts, motions, things of that nature that, we'll have to do a good job on.
I know Ryan isn't there anymore, but like with Terry still being there, is it kind of almost like looking in a mirror with the types of players they like? Like, even though it's a rivalry, like, are there a lot of similarities between?
Yeah, I guess I would say there's probably, some similarities. They've got a few players that, have played here and but I have no idea, honestly, what how their building is or what they're doing in their building. I know Raheem does a really good job. I've always had a lot of respect for him as a coach, so he's got those guys playing really hard.
Over the years, you being here, have you gained an appreciation for this rivalry, what it means to the fans and the cities?
Yeah, absolutely. Back in '06 when I came here, I came from Atlanta. I didn't get that sense as much when I was there, and then I came here and I quickly realized that, it's a much bigger rivalry than maybe what I had thought of. Yeah, it's a big rivalry, two cities that, have similarities and yet are different. It's a fun game to be a part of. Every time we've, played these guys, whether it be in the Dome or whether it be at, their stadium, it's always been a great environment and always been a lot of fun to compete against those guys. And, we're all looking forward to it again.
With the way last year's game ended, do you think there'll be any carryover from that?
I think you got a new year. I think you got two teams that, obviously feel like they're pretty good and want to throw their hat in the ring. And so I think, look, I can speak for us. Our focus is on getting ready for this team this year, and they present a lot of challenges. So we're going to have to be ready to play.
Dennis, throughout the league, passing numbers are at their lowest point through 3 weeks since 2000, while rushing numbers have been going up for a few years. What do you think is behind that trend?
Well, I think one of the big factors is the ability of the quarterback to run with the football. I think a lot of people look at rushing stats and they think it's just running the football, but it's, quarterbacks being able to run with the football on, call it zone read plays or whatever you want, quarterback read plays. And they're gaining yards on those things, making you have to play 11 on 11. And then you have the athletic quarterbacks that are gaining yards scrambling, which goes down as rushing yards. So I think that's probably a huge factor in it. The other thing I think is teams are spreading people out more. The enemy of great run defense is space. And so when you spread teams out a little bit more, it creates a little bit more room to run the football.
I know it's been a couple months now, but since you guys are playing the Falcons, do you have any clarity on why Justin Simmons didn't sign here? No. I tried. What are your impressions of him, just the way he's played with them?
I think he's a good player. I think they got a really good safety combination back there. I think Bates is one of the better safeties players in our league. I got a lot of respect for him. He's really good. And I think Justin Simmons, is a good complement to that. I think both of them are smart, instinctive, rangy on the back end. They're aggressive in terms of getting involved in the run game. So both of those guys will be a factor in the game.
We didn't see Atlanta Taylor. We've got to ask about him.
Illness.
Sorry, I apologize. I was typing. I don't know if anybody has about Payson too, just since we're on the injury kick. Is there an update on him?
He practiced today, and I'm anticipating him being ready to go this weekend.
What did you think of Mel Kiper wanting to outlaw the cover two in the NFL? Thinks it should go away. You hear about that?
No. Was that on one of those social media deals?
No. They have a huge debate about it. Says that guys are playing too far back, and you can't. Yeah.
He said there should be.
I think we got too much time on our hands.
I think it's part of the larger discussion about why passing numbers are down.
Passing, yeah.
Yeah.
This is interesting how, for so long people have been saying it's a passing league, but actually the numbers are going down year over year. So.
I got my own problems. I don't got time to get into that debate.
Shane Lemieux, if he's called upon at some point, how have you seen him develop at center? He hasn't really done it before you guys got him, I don't think.
I mean, he worked center all of training camp, so obviously Lucas Patrick has been playing center for us, so we'll be ready with whatever we decide to do come game day.
The way the Eagles played your run, particular 6-1 kind of, do you think that can be replicated? Do you anticipate teams try to duplicate that?
Well, look, it's a copycat league, right? And so when you see something, anytime we see something that gives us problems, offensively, defensively, in the kicking game, we can guarantee that at some point we're going to see something similar to what we saw. Now, whether Atlanta does it, I don't know. You'd have to ask them what their game plan would be, and if they let you know, pass it along if you don't mind. But yeah, I would expect that at some point, we'll see a look like that. Part of the way Philly did it, those big guys inside make a huge difference, when they're playing like they did in our game, because they create a lot of one-on-one blocks. doing stuff like that.
As a personnel driven, not every team can do it the same way they did.
Yeah, I would say not everybody's got the ability to do it as well as they did. You know, but, and I wouldn't say that that's something that's unique. I mean, I think there's a few teams that, you know, have done that. Yeah, I think, you know, they had a good scheme and they had good players doing it.
I know this is probably the benefit of hindsight, but is there any part of you that wished you guys spread out a little bit more against the Eagles to get away from them?
Yeah, look, I'm focused on Atlanta right now, so let's keep it on Atlanta then. All good? All right, thanks, guys.